Now let's learn about weight. We know that the earth attracts every object with a certain force, and this force depends on the mass of the object and the acceleration due to gravity. The weight of an object is the force with which it is attracted towards the earth. So, force equation is given by m into a, that is F equal to m into g. You name this as equation 10.13, this as equation 10.14. Now the force of attraction of the earth on an object is known as the weight of the object. Right? Whatever force by which the earth is attracting that object, it is known as the weight of the object, and it is denoted by W. So now we will put this same in equation 10.14, this equation. So F will be replaced by W, and this m into g will remain as it is. As the weight of an object is the force with which it is attracted towards the earth, the SI unit of weight is the same as that of force, and that is Newton. Right? The weight of a force is acting vertically downwards. Now it has both magnitude and direction. We have learned that the value of G is constant at a given place. Therefore, at a given place, the weight of an object is directly proportional to the mass. Mass symbol is m. So W is directly proportional to m. It is due to this reason that at a given place we can use the weight of an object as a measure of its mass. The mass of an object remains the same everywhere on the earth. Right? If you take that same object and keep it on moon, the weight will be different, but the mass will always be the same. Now let us study the weight of an object on the moon. The mass of the moon is less than that of the earth. We all know that. Due to this, the moon exerts a lesser force of attraction on the objects because of its diameter, which is less. So it will exert a lesser force of attraction than the earth. Let the mass of an object be m. Let its weight on the moon be Wm. These are the symbols which we will be using. And let the mass of the moon be m and small m, and its radius be Rm. That is the radius of the moon, mass of the moon. M is the, small m is the moon, right? Radius, R is the radius, m is the moon. By applying the universal law of gravitation, the weight of an object on the moon will be equal to, you know this symbol which we have written, right? Weight of the moon, m, equal to, G is the constant of proportionality, m is the mass, and m, small m, what is this m? This is the mass of that object, right? And R is the radius. So let the weight of the same object on the earth be We. E is the earth. The mass of the earth is m and its radius is R. So what will be the symbol of earth? Weight is We, right? And we will replace all the corresponding values of earth in this equation. Okay? So when we replace that, we will get this equation. Now when we substitute the values of the earth mass and earth radius in this formula, what we will get? We will get this. This is the mass of the moon. Okay? And m is the mass of the object, and R is the radius of the moon, right? Square of that. So here square is written. Now the weight of that will be 2.431 into 10 raised to 10 G into M. And now we know that weight of the earth equal to 1.474 into 10 raised to 11 G into M. Yeah, G into M both are constant over here. So when we divide this mass, weight of the moon divided by weight of earth, this Gm will get cancelled since it is common. What will remain is 0.165. When we divide 2.431 into 10 raised to 10 divided by 1.474 into 10 raised to 11, we will get 0.165. You can write this as 1/6 also, right? Weight of the object on the moon will be 1/6 of its weight on the earth, right? So this we have derived now. Now let's solve one example to understand that concept much better. Mass of an object is 10 kg. What is its weight on earth? So you know the formula, W equal to M into G, gravitational acceleration. That you can call that as acceleration due to gravity also. It is 9.8 meters per second square. So you will multiply directly 10 kg into 9.8, so you will get 98 Newton. So the weight of the object is 98 Newton on earth, right? It is so simple. If you know the formulas, solving any problem will not be difficult. Now let's try one more. 10.5. An object weighs 10 Newton when measured on the surface of the earth. What would be its weight when measured on the surface of the moon? That same object which is weighing 10 Newton is measured on the earth first, and then it is kept on the moon and its weight is calculated. So what it will be? It is 1/6. You remember we have derived this. So weight of the object on the moon is equal to 1/6 of the weight on the earth. Now it is 10 Newton when it is measured on earth. So it will be 10 divided by 6, that is 1.67 Newton. The weight of the object on the surface of the moon would be 1 by 1.67, or you can write 10 by 6 also, right? Now let's study about thrust and pressure. Suppose you are given one notice paper. You have to fix this on your notice board, school notice board. This is your school notice board, and you have to fix this paper. So what you will do? There are pins given to you. See these ones, which has a round center and pointed end. So what you will do? You will hold it like this, the paper on both ends, and then you will apply pressure with your thumb. You will apply pressure with your thumb and try to press that pin. This is a soft board, so it will get inserted into the soft board. So that is called force. Whatever pressure you are applying on the pin head, it is called the force. And you are applying force on what? You are applying force on the head of the pin, that is the surface area, right? So with this you will understand better. So we are taking a second situation in which you will stand on a loose sand. What will happen? Your feet will go directly into the sand. Now if you lie down on the sand, what will happen? Your body will not go that deep. It will go little bit, not that much. In both the cases, the force exerted on the sand is the weight of your body, right? Due to the weight, our legs go inside the sand, right? And we are sleeping, the same weight is acting, right? What is the difference? Only the surface area is increasing. When we stand, the whole weight is acting on this much, our leg area. And when we sleep, the same weight is acting on this much area. This is the position in which we are sleeping, and this is the leg. So this has more surface area, right? So what you can conclude with this? Thus the effects of forces of the same magnitude, that means same amount of force which we are applying on different areas, the area was different, are different, right? Now in the above cases, thrust is the same, right? But effects are different. Therefore, the effect of thrust depends on the area on which it acts. The effect of thrust on sand is larger while standing than while lying. The thrust on unit area is called pressure. Thus, we have derived one formula: pressure equal to thrust divided by area. That means whatever force we are applying perpendicular to the area is called thrust. So now we will substitute the SI unit of thrust and area. The SI unit of thrust, that is the pressure, is Newton per meter square, and the unit of thrust is Newton. The force which we are applying here in this case also, force we are applying is Newton, and the area unit is meter square. So the unit of pressure is Newton per meter square. Okay. Now, in honor of scientist Blaise Pascal, the SI unit of pressure is called Pascal, denoted as PA. He was a scientist. On his surname we have denoting the SI unit of pressure. You can call that as PA, short form. Now let us consider some numerical examples which it will be easy for you to understand. See, this is a block of wood. The dimensions are 40 centimeter and 20 centimeter and 10 centimeter, right? This is the length, width, and this is the height. So if you keep this, how much area is touching the ground? 20 centimeter into 10 centimeter. And if you keep the box slanting like this, how much area is touching the ground? 40 centimeter into 10 centimeter. So the area in contact is more in this case than in this case. Okay. Let's see what is the question they are asking. Find the pressure exerted by the wooden block on the tabletop if it is made to lie on the tabletop with its sides of dimensions 20 into 10 centimeter, which is touching the tabletop, and the dimension of this 40 into 20, this is touching the tabletop. So how will we solve? We know the mass of the wooden block is 5 kg, right? The dimensions are known. Now we'll find out the force thrust, you can call that thrust. M into G, mass is 5 kg and gravitational force is 9.8 meters per second square. So when you multiply, you will get 49 Newton is the thrust acting on it. Now area of one side, in which side? This side it is laying. So it will be 20 into 10, that is 200 centimeter square. Now you know we have to write in meter square. So we will calculate 200 centimeter square by dividing 10,000. When we divide, we will get as 0.02 meter square. Now we will apply this formula, pressure equal to thrust divided by area. Now we have the pressure, that is 49 Newton, divided by the area, that is 0.02 meter square. So we will get pressure as 2450 Newton per meter square. When the block lies on this side, this area will increase the pressure, the thrust will remain the same. So it will be 49 divided by 0.08 meter square. So we will get 612.5 Newton per meter square. The pressure exerted by the side 20 centimeter into 10 centimeter is 2450 Newton per meter square, and by the side 40 centimeter into 20 centimeter is 612.5 Newtons per meter square. Right? The force which is acting on this is less on this area, since the larger area is in contact with the table. So thus the force acting on a smaller area exerts a larger pressure and a smaller pressure on a larger area. This is the reason why a nail has a pointed tip knives have sharp edges, and buildings have wide foundations. So the weight is distributed over a larger surface area. So the buildings have always wide foundations. If it has a narrow foundation, the building can fall down. Now let's learn about pressure in fluids. All liquids and gases are fluids, right? Because it has no fixed dimension. It takes the shape of the container. A solid exerts pressure on a surface due to its weight. Similarly, fluids have weight, and they also exert pressure on the base and the walls of the container in which they are enclosed. मतलब in which they are kept. Pressure exerted in any confined mass of fluid is transmitted undiminished in all directions. It is distributed in all directions. What is buoyancy? Have you ever wondered why a ship made of iron and steel does not sink in sea water, but while the same amount of iron and steel in the form of a sheet would sink? मतलब उसी का एक शीट ले लो, मतलब एक पतला सा ये कागज जैसा एक शीट आता है, वो ले लो और पानी में देखो तो डूब जाएगा, लेकिन शिप डूबता नहीं है, उससे ही बना है, वो सेम मटेरियल से. ठीक है, वो क्यों ऐसा होता है? उसके लिए हम लोग क्या करेंगे, एक्टिविटी करेंगे. विल टेक एन एम्प्टी प्लास्टिक बॉटल, विल क्लोज द माउथ ऑफ द बॉटल विद एन एयर टाइट स्टॉपर and put it in a bucket filled with water. Okay, we'll put that in a bucket filled with water. We'll see that the bottle will float. Now push the bottle into the water. You will feel an upward push. जितना हम लोग उसको ताकत से दबाने का कोशिश करेंगे, उतना ही वो ऊपर उछलने का कोशिश करेगा. Try to push it further down and you will find it difficult to push deeper and deeper. This indicates that the water exerts a force on the bottle in the upward direction. The upward force exerted by the water goes on increasing as the bottle is pushed deeper till it is completely immersed. Now release the bottle, it bounces back to the surface. Does the force of gravitational attraction of the earth act on this bottle? Yes. हम लोग सोचते रहेंगे कि ग्रेविटेशनल फोर्स की वजह से क्यों अंदर जाना चाहिए, राइट? लेकिन वो जाता नहीं है, तो उसका क्या रीजन है? ठीक है, ड्यू टू ग्रेविटी वो अंदर जाता भी है, थोड़ा हम लोग ताकत लगाएंगे तो अंदर जाएगा, लेकिन क्या होता है, पानी भी है ना अपना एक फोर्स एक्ट करता है वो बॉटल के ऊपर, सो विच विल नॉट अलाउ दैट बॉटल टू सिंक इन द वाटर, वो उसको ऊपर धकेलेगा, राइट? व्हेन द बॉटल इज इमर्स्ड, the upward force exerted by the water on the bottle is greater than its weight. जो फोर्स से पानी धक्का मारता है बॉटल को, वो ज्यादा है बॉटल का वेट से. इसके लिए क्या होता है, इसके लिए वो ऊपर आता है, राइट? टू कीप द बॉटल कंप्लीटली इमर्स्ड, द अपवर्ड फोर्स ऑन द बॉटल ड्यू टू द वाटर मस्ट बी बैलेंस्ड. तो दोनों का फोर्स अगर बैलेंस होगा तो ही वो पॉसिबल है. तो when it will be possible, this can be achieved by an externally applied force acting downwards. This force must at least be equal to the difference between the upward force and the weight of the bottle. The upward force exerted by the water on this bottle is known as upthrust or buoyant force. अब समझ में आया buoyant force का मतलब क्या हो? जो नीचे से जो प्रेशर आता है पानी का वो बॉटल के ऊपर जो एक्ट होता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड अपथ्रस्ट और buoyant force. In fact, all objects experience a force of buoyancy when they are immersed in a fluid. The magnitude of this buoyant force depends on the density of the fluid. The magnitude of that force will depend on the type of liquid which it is. Okay. Now let's see why this nail has sunk into the water. This is a beaker filled of water. We are putting that nail, okay, and we'll observe that nail is directly sinking. Why? Because the weight of the nail is greater than the force which is acting by the water. that is the upthrust is less than the weight of the nail, so it is getting sinked. We'll do the same experiment by a cork. मतलब कॉर्क मतलब जो ढक्कन है उसके साथ देखेंगे, लकड़ी का एक ढक्कन आता है उसको कॉर्क बोलते हैं, ठीक है। वो क्या करेंगे, हम लोग पानी के ऊपर डाल के देखेंगे डूबता है कि नहीं। वो क्या होता है, डूबेगा नहीं। वाई? बिकॉज द वेट ऑफ द कॉर्क इज लेस देन द अपथ्रस्ट। सो इफ द अपथ्रस्ट इज मोर, द कॉर्क विल नॉट सिंक, इट विल फ्लोट, राइट। दिस इज द रीजन बिहाइंड the sinking of the nail and floating of the cork, right? So what conclusion can be derived from this? The objects of greater density than that of the liquid will sink in the liquid. Okay, now let's learn about Archimedes principle. For this we'll do one activity. You have to take a piece of stone and tie a rubber string or a spring balance, okay, and suspend that stone by holding the balance or the string this way, right? Now there will be an elongation of the string. You have to note that reading, okay, of the spring balance. Of course, if you take a spring balance over here, note the elongation of this. Then what you do, you dip this same tied stone into a beaker full of water and observe what will happen. Now when you hold that in water along with this spring balance which is attached to it, you will see that the elongation of the string is gradually decreasing. मतलब होता नहीं है, धीरे धीरे वो कम होता है. And you will observe that once this whole stone is fully immersed in water, there will be no elongation of this string. Now when the stone is immersed fully in the water, what happens? The water is trying to push that stone up. So there is no elongation of that string. So now we will be curious to know that the magnitude of buoyant force, what it is, right? There is some force which is acting on that body. So how much force is acting? We will try to find it out. The answer to this was given by Archimedes. He was a scientist. On his name, the principle is derived, so it is called Archimedes principle. He says that when any body is immersed fully or partially in a fluid, it experiences an upward force that is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by it. मतलब क्या होता है, कोई भी चीज को हम लोग पानी में डालेंगे तो उसका वजन जितना है वो ऑब्जेक्ट का, उतना ही पानी वो क्या होगा, बाहर फेंकेगा, ठीक है। So you can say that the fluid displaced is equal to the weight of the body which is immersed in water or any fluid. Archimedes principle has many applications. It is used in designing ships and submarines. Lactometers, which are used to determine the purity of a sample of milk, and hydrometers used for determining the density of liquids, are all based on this principle on which we had observed that activity, right? It is on the same principle, Archimedes principle. With this, many ships were designed. Now let's learn about relative density. The density of a substance is defined as the mass of a unit volume. The unit of density is kilogram per meter cube. The density of a given substance under specified condition remains the same. It will not change unless and until the conditions are changed. Therefore, the density of a substance is one of the characteristics properties. it is different for different substances. It is not same for all substances. For example, the density of gold is 19,300 kgs per meter cube. That means if you take a box of 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, 1 meter length, 1 meter width and 1 meter height, how much quantity of gold can it accommodate? 19,300 kgs. While that of water is how much? 1000 kg. If you make a box of the same dimension 1 meter cube, if you put water and weight, it will be 1000 kgs. The density of a given sample of a substance can help us to determine its purity. If it is impure or pure, we can check this by using lactometers. The relative density of a substance is the ratio of its density to that of water. Water is considered as a standard for measuring the relative density of any substance. So, the formula will be relative density equal to density of that substance divided by density of water. So, the relative density is a ratio of similar quantities and it has no unit. 49 divided by 0.08 meter square. So, we will get 612.5 Newton per meter square. The pressure exerted by the side 20 cm into 10 cm is 2450 Newton per meter square, and by the side 40 cm into 20 cm is 612.5 Newtons per meter square. Right, the force which is acting on this is less on this area, since the larger area is in contact with the table. So thus the force acting on a smaller area exerts a larger pressure and a smaller pressure on a larger area. This is the reason why a nail has a pointed tip. It is 10 raised to 3 kg per meter cube. So when you multiply, you will get the density of silver equal to 10.8 into 10 raised to 3 kgs per meter cube. With this, we have completed chapter number 10.